Welcome to Toy Business Unboxed, your gateway to the secrets of the toy industry. Here, Jason Shea, a toy entrepreneur and expert in the field.
Every product we develop is really inspired by some of the real life experience that we have with our son.
60% of all toys last year were sold on Amazon, which is incredible.
Be passionate about it because it's a road, it's a journey.
Like when you have an idea that you think is like gonna somewhat like change the world, make things better, I'd say go for it.
We'll guide you through the enchanting world of toy design, marketing, and manufacturing. Now let the unboxing begin.
Welcome back to another episode of Toy Business Unboxed. Today's guest, Chrys, is the creative force behind some of the most unusual and heartfelt RPG in the indie board game scene. From trash-loving Raccoon to store and sorcery romance, Chrys games really mix chaos, identity, and wonder, and we'll explore what happens when you have to scrap a campaign and start over, and why Facebook ads rarely deliver for ttrpgs, and how to really grow a real audience in the niche market. So thank you so much for being on our podcast today, Chrys.
Thanks. Really happy to be here.
So first of all, can you kind of share with our audience your journey so far? What led you to get into the industry and start creating games and like getting out there?
Brain has always thought in game design terms, the systems, the loops, the behaviors that we get into. And my older brother, Mike, was a game designer and a professor of game design. He showed me that you could actually do it for a living. He was mostly into video games, but like he also had one foot in the role-playing game world.
I see.
And that was a big inspiration.
I see. And what year did you started this journey?
2020.
2020. Okay.
Yeah, that's when I decided to like that I needed to actually make a game for the public, you know. And so it hasn't been very long in the grand scope of things. But that, I mean, you know, I was working on stuff, but that's when I got the idea for Raccoon Sky Pirates and started working on that.
I see. Well, since you mentioned one of the game, can you kind of first explain what is a Raccoon Sky Pirate? How do you play it? What is it about?
So it's a story game, like a role-playing game, but it has board game elements that keep things on track because there's no game master. So everybody plays a raccoon, and you live in the junkyard where you make a flying ship out of trash from a bunch of pick lists. You fly it across town, across this map, to a suburban house, get in, steal everything you can before the lights come on, and then try to make it back home without your ship exploding. And things keep going wrong because you're raccoons. Mechanically, the way it works is like there's 4 set scenes, you know, getting to the house, getting in, stealing stuff from the house, and getting home. And for all those scenes, you don't know what you're going to do until you do it. You roll to see what you're going to do. And then that gives you a prompt. Yeah, that gives you a prompt, and then you narrate your scene based on what went wrong or went right in your prompt.
I see. How do you win?
Oh, well, you win if you make it back home in one piece. Sometimes the ship blows up. Sometimes it doesn't.
I see. And how long does it typically take to play? Like how many minutes?
Like about 3 hours.
Oh, that long? Okay. Take quite a while.
Yeah.
Okay. How many players?
Yeah, I mean, it could be 2 hours. It could be 3 hours. But so it's like short for a role-playing game, long for a board game.
Okay. And usually, how many players will you recommend?
It can have up to 6 players.
6 players. Okay, I see. And like besides, I think that was your first game, right? But you have developed other games over the years as well. How many different games you have developed so far?
Well, I mean, I did a supplement, like an adventure for Dungeon Crawl Classics as a third-party designer. I did a hack book for Pelgrane Press.
Okay.
Again, as a third-party designer that took a game of theirs, Ashen Stars, and put my own spin on it, but it was still a supplementary material. Raccoon Sky Pirates was the first standalone game that I published.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of stuff like in the, you know, basically games that I have walked away from that I have not been able to finish. But I finished Raccoon Sky Pirates, you know, like I had a board game about Jupiter, but like I made Raccoon Sky Pirates for Zine Quest 3 in 2021, and that was my first published like standalone game, and I'm about to publish my second one. So I really haven't been doing it for very long, and you know, scheme of things.
I see. And I also want to transition to talk about your experience with crowdfunding because you also tried a few times. Can you kind of share your experience? And I think in the pre-show you talk about you have to actually cancel and relaunch one of the campaigns as well. Can you share like what you learned from that so our audience can learn from some of the lessons?
Yeah. So for Raccoon Sky Pirates, it was a zine quest game. The barrier to entry was very low. I think it was like a
Hmm.
2-week Kickstarter, and it went well. It was a very uncomplicated. I mean, it was complicated putting together all the materials, and I didn't account for shipping because I'd accounted for shipping flat, not for
Yeah.
shipping a box. So that an expensive lesson. But on the whole, it was pretty straightforward. And I just didn't feel like I had a lot of expectations. So everything was an experiment, but it felt like I couldn't lose. And then for this next game, the sword and sorcery game that you were referring to in the intro, yeah, I launched the first Kickstarter in April,
Okay.
and it was not going to make. It was just
Oh,
not going to hit
okay.
its numbers. And I was fortunately able to benefit from the advice of a more experienced games publisher who said, don't let it go to the bitter end. Cancel it and retool. So
I
I did.
okay.
And I had, the thing was I set the funding level way too high, like
Okay.
$47,000, I think.
Well, that's really high. That's
Really
really
high.
high.
I thought I was going to print it in the US,
Yeah.
mainly for shorter production time. And I thought I was going to print way more copies than I really needed to, and way
Oh,
more of
okay.
everything, way more dice, pins, art. So I just had a ridiculously inflated number. And so I brought
Oh,
that again to my mentor, and she was like, no. No, no, no. But fortunately, running a Kickstarter that doesn't make gives you very precise numbers of how many books you actually need to print, how many
oh,
dice
how
you
so?
actually need to get in. Well, because you just take all the people who did back,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, I need to make enough copies for them,
Hmm.
and then 100% more than that
Yeah.
to sell after the Kickstarter. But I was just like, okay, yeah, no, all I will do is count on the backers that I already got. And I took 4 weeks and came back with a much more humble funding goal,
Mhm.
much more humble manufacturing partner. Well,
Mhm.
for me, more humble, a
Yeah.
more realistic setup with the manufacturing partners that were not
Mm.
gold plated, but still very good.
Okay.
I mean, I went with the best printer in China I could find, but I didn't say, oh, it has to be in the US. And so I was like, okay, I will make enough for the people who I already know who were interested. And I
Yeah.
just tried to keep their interest until I launched the new one. I'm sure it was confusing for people because now there are 2 projects on Kickstarter called Defy the Gods. That's the name of the
Oh,
game.
2. Okay. Okay.
Well,
Okay.
one is Defy the Gods, and then of course it
Yeah.
has to be a unique name. So the next one is Defy the Gods RPG. And
Okay.
fortunately, all the backers came back, more backers came in. And I also, by that time, I was just getting really good at posting on social media every day.
I see, man.
I contracted with a friend of mine who has a lot of contacts in the industry, and
Mhm.
he sent emails to tons of media people,
Oh, nice. Okay. So
RPG
that
media,
helps.
small media, and we just kept working it. And also in the first campaign, it was confusing because I had messed up shipping. I wanted to charge
Ah.
shipping after the campaign was over, and I had set it up wrong. I had just misread the
Oh,
Kickstarter,
I see.
setup options, and so I had to just cancel a whole bunch of reward tiers and make duplicates of them.
Wow.
Incredibly frustrating for
Yeah.
my backers, which I heard about firsthand from my family.
Yeah.
And and so the second time, not only did I know exactly how many books and dice and pins I needed to make,
Yeah.
or at least commit to making, I knew a lot better how to set up the whole project. And so
Mm.
yeah, I got very accurate, very precise numbers for what my funding goal should be, and I just went for that.
I see. Well, thank you so much for sharing all the things that's different.
Mhm.
Besides the book, does it also have a board games element to it?
This wasn't actually. I am
Okay.
getting dice made.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm getting dice made, and and I encourage people to use them with the game, but you don't have to. This one's a straight up role playing game, like a book. You can get it at Barnes and Noble. It's a very conventional role playing game, and for an indie role playing game.
Yeah.
But I am looking forward to getting back to the interplay between role playing games and board games with the next version of Raccoon Sky Pirates. I want to
see.
do that
Yeah, because
much
I
bigger.
think role-playing game is almost like a niche within the niche. It's really hard to
Hmm.
find people that's really passionate about it. Like
Yeah.
personally, I don't have time for like 3 hours to play a role-playing game myself.
Right.
So I
Right.
usually just play a very simple board games or card game with my family. It's not a
Yeah.
3-hour
Yeah.
engagement. So
Yeah, no, it's true. It's a long time. I mean, this is a big barrier to entry. It's just how long it takes to play a complete sort of episode of your ongoing story. For the people who love it, really love it. For those of
Mm.
us who love it, it's like there's nothing like it. It's just the best thing in the world.
I see. Do you find it is hard for you to find player that usually you can engage with? Because I know there's a lot of D&D fans, but outside of D&D, that's like it's hard to get tractions.
Yeah, it's true. D just has so much market presence.
Yeah.
And again, like, fortunately, the internet makes it easy to find any community, no matter how atomized and tiny. So I've been very lucky to find a couple of good gaming groups here in Columbus and a ton of them
Oh, okay.
online. Like the pandemic in a way made online gaming so much more mainstream. So that means that I'm never short of people to play with. So
I
that's good.
see. So what other strategy have you tried so far for you to find your audience for your
To
game?
sell to?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's true. I did say that Facebook ads aren't worth it for tabletop role-playing games, but I'm not even sure if that's true for all tabletop role-playing games. It was
Mm.
true for my game because my
I
game is a queer adventure romance, and that audience, that sort of queer audience or audience who is interested in queer romance, turns out is really not on Facebook.
Okay.
They're on Tumblr. They're on Tumblr a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
So I started posting to Tumblr, and I
Okay.
blazed my post on my. I had made a big blog post on Tumblr, and I blazed that,
Okay.
uh,
Okay.
following the advice of
Mm.
another good friend in the industry who's more
Mm.
experienced than I am, and
Mm.
that was fantastic. That had a lot of returns, but it's because it's got this queer romance dimension to it that the folks who are into sword and sorcery on Facebook are really into sort of old school, gritty Conan sword and sorcery, and not this kind of
Oh, okay.
reinvention that I'm doing or writers are doing. So
I see.
yeah. But also I have to say Facebook ads are incredibly expensive.
It is
The
tricky,
Instagram side of it was
tricky to
good.
get it to work. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And because they just run,
Mhm.
suddenly you're spending hundreds of dollars. And I signed on with a sort of marketing-ish company. I signed on with Launchboom.
They are our partners. Yes. Yeah. They
Yeah,
do really
yeah,
good work. Yes.
they're fantastic. They're
Mhm.
not so good for my book. Like
Oh,
like
yeah.
partly I think I'm not even sure that RPGs are good for them unless it's a boxed RPG that comes with a lot of stuff and has a higher
Yeah.
price point. But the price
Mm.
point of a book by itself, I'm not
Oh.
sure is that good
Mm.
for Launch Boom's the sort of turnkey solution they give you,
Yeah.
or good for Meta Facebook ads. I did get some traction on Instagram, but not enough to justify the spend. So, it's live and learn, and everybody's experience is individual. And I think maybe Launch would work well for the next version of Raccoon Sky Pirates, because that will be in a box.
True. It also depends on the
Yeah,
games too.
yeah. It'll have a lot of components, a higher price point,
Mhm.
and it doesn't have a queer romance angle, right? Like the
Mm.
much more mainstream.
More mainstream.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That might be better. So people
yeah.
can kind of get it easier. So.
Yeah. It just instantly appeals to people as soon as they hear the name, and
Mhm.
that swath of people that it appeals to is so much bigger. So it's like it's been a real learning experience. Like I loved making Raccoon Sky Pirates. I loved connecting with people over it, and then I had to make this much more niche game because I didn't want to just be the Raccoon Sky Pirates person. Like
Mm.
I'm queer, I'm trans. I needed to have something that expressed that
I
identity, at
see.
least one.
Uh, yeah, that's
Like
important.
Mark Diaz Truman is, I think, runs Magpie Games, which did the Avatar, The Last Airbender RPG,
Okay.
and Urban Shadows, a bunch of games. And he was like, he made this one game called Cartel that is a Powered by the Apocalypse, which is like my game, a story game about being part of a drug business in Mexico.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
from the color palette to everything else, it has a very Mexico feel.
Yeah.
But it's also very niche. It's a game about brutal people in ugly situations,
Mm.
and he just needed to make it. He was saying this to a bunch of us, like he just needed to make it, and then he could go back to making games with a broader appeal. And that's kind of how I feel about Defy the Gods.
I see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I see. So what would you say is your biggest struggle in this journey so far?
I think the biggest has been realizing how niche that is and
Okay.
coming to terms with it, Like
Yeah.
a lot of people advised me not to foreground the queer elements, and that was smart business advice. And I still made a sort of authorial decision counter to my business hat, put on the author hat instead of the business hat. And I'm glad I did it. I'm very, I wouldn't change a thing.
Mm.
But then I needed to strategize with that baked in, you know?
Mhm.
And I needed to really be like, okay, all right, so you're going to reach 400 people with this Kickstarter or something like that, you know, and just you're taking the hit and gear down and bake that into your strategy, you know, because like, again, I think you were saying in the intro that like nobody sees the product's struggle. It's easy for me to look at the successes, including the successes in the queer community, like
Yeah.
indie RPG story games, story role-playing games that are like all about queer themes and have a very
Mhm.
queer vibe to them. Some of them do hundreds of thousands of dollars on Kickstarter and then
Mhm.
become legends. But when I say some, I mean like one or two. And they're by one or two giants in my niche of a niche of a niche industry. And so that's survivorship bias, right? Like
Mhm.
I can't compare how I'm going to do it to how they have done. And I don't
Yeah.
see all the struggle that they put in to
To make it
get to
happen.
that.
Yeah, to get to that point.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. That's 100% true. So I guess what is next? What is your plan for the next year and for the foreseeable future for the company? What other games are you working
Yeah.
on? Any interesting project you'd like to share?
Well, like definitely it's going to be Raccoon Sky Pirates Deluxe.
Okay.
With bottle caps and a ship you make with jigsaw puzzle pieces, and really try to make this little janky game be janky on a bigger scale.
Okay.
I'm very excited for that. And then I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think it'll depend on how Defy the Gods does.
Okay.
I mean, I have a ton of ideas. There's a spy game I've been wanting to make for a long time,
Mm.
but I just know that, you know, because it's really just me here, and there's a bunch of contractors who come on
Mhm.
when things ramp up.
Yeah.
But in addition to coming to terms with how niche some of, you know, this one game is, I'm coming to terms with how slow it is to make games when you're just a one-person shop.
Mm.
So I know that I'm going to work on Raccoon Sky Pirates Deluxe, and that's going to take months, and then it'll take months to sell it. And I'm really looking forward to that, but it'll change my market position a lot, and I'll know a lot more about what would be a good game to make next after Defy the Gods hits the market and after I start to get a sense for the support for the new Raccoon Sky Pirates.
I see, I see. Well, wish you the best with the upcoming launch. Hopefully this
Thank you.
deluxe version will go extremely well for you as well.
Thank you.
And looking back, if you have to share just one piece of advice with someone that's getting started in the toys and game industry, what would that be?
I think it would be to connect with the players as empathically as possible.
Okay.
Know what their experience is, stay very close to their experience, and devote everything that you make in designing the game and publishing and marketing the game toward enhancing that player experience. I think game design is the most empathetic of all arts because you're creating an experience. And a lot of us got into it for the godlike perspective of making all these systems and worlds that people interact with. But I really, at least for me, it has really paid to think very much about, to center the player and center their experience.
I see, I see, I see. That's a very good piece of advice. So yeah, and thank you so much again for your time and sharing your stories so far in the industry.
And thank you so much. This is really a real pleasure.
Yeah, and thank you for our audience for tuning in to this episode of Toy Business Unboxed podcast. We hope you have enjoyed today's conversation and find it insightful and inspiring. If you like what you have heard, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. We really appreciate your support and would love it if you can leave us a review and share the podcast with your friend and colleague. For more resource tips and the latest update within the toys and game industry, visit our website at toy-launch.com. Join the conversation and connect with us on social media using hashtag ToyBusinessUnboxed. We'd love to hear your feedback and suggestions for future episodes. Until next time, keep innovating, keep creating, keep bringing joy to toys. This is Jason Shea signing off on the Toy Business Unboxed podcast. We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much, everyone.